What's up, you sultry chickens, and welcome to Respawn Aimfire's side quest for September's BARF game. Damn it, I almost made it through. Backlog accomplishments with Respawn and friends. NieR Automata. I'm Chad Michaelinis. We've got Holden DePardo here. Say hey.
Hello.
And we are going to just kind of give you our impressions of what we played this month, which again was NieR Automata. I'm going to give you some background. Then we're going to jump into some user reviews, and then we're going to jump into our impressions, and then we're going to wrap it up, and we'll call it a day. And guess what day we'll call it? Sunday. That's the day. The Lord's Day if you're a Christian. The day of anxiety if you're a working person in America in your typical 5-day work week, because you know you have to go to work tomorrow morning, and you drank way too much last night.
It's a sad day because Chick-fil-A is not open, and that's a problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can we have a moment of silence for Chick-fil-A being closed on Sundays?
You know, there are Popeyes stores popping up all over the country now that are starting to have those chicken sandwiches back. I went yesterday in hopes that mine was one of them, and that wasn't. So I ordered a 3-piece tender meal, and I got 4 tenders in it. Fucking winning!
How nice.
I know! Oh,
would it be weird to call Popeyes and be like, hey, before I show up, do you guys have the chicken sandwich?
Is you guys got sandwiches yet? If not, could you tell a girl when you do? There's a wonderful girl. I won't say her last name, but it doesn't matter. Her first name's unique enough that you'll probably, if you know her, you know her. Tynea is her first name. But we were in Paris, and she was gonna go do something. I don't know. We were splitting up for some reason, but she just shouts back at us, "Hey, if y'all see a Nutella crepe, will you tell a girl?" Because that was one thing she wanted to do before she left Paris, was get Nutella crepes. Oh, man. NieR Automata, or Automata, or automatic versus manual transmission, depending on where you're from and how you pronounce it. It was a game that was released 2 years ago in 2017 as a sequel. I didn't even realize this until maybe a week ago. It's a sequel to the game NieR that I remember the box art for, which is just like an old-ass looking Geralt almost kind of looking guy, I think. Like from Witcher 3. It's just an old dude with long white hair that I don't think has anything to do with this game, or I don't understand how they're connected because I don't understand or know anything about the first game.
Yeah, I knew there was a first game because I remember when the first NieR Automata got announced, I'm like, really? They're going to make a sequel off of that like I don't remember anyone ever talking about? But it just doesn't matter because there was no point where I'm like, I'm missing something here. There was a prequel to the story that I missed out on. Never happened. I was confused for different reasons.
This game came out, has sold over 4 million copies worldwide as of May 2019. It is a PlayStation and PC exclusive, so it's not available on Xbox at all.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Interesting.
It was nominated for Best Storytelling at the PlayStation Game of the Year and PlayStation Game of the Year at the 35th Annual Golden Joystick Awards. It was nominated at the Game Awards for Best Narrative and Best Role-Playing Game, and it won for Best Score and Music in 2017 as well. And overall reception, really, really great. Receiving 9 out of 10s, 8.5, 9 out of 10. A lot of really high awards for this game. Let's jump into... We asked a couple of you to... Not a couple. We asked everyone, and a couple of you did respond, to write in your thoughts on it, and then we're going to kind of pick from your thoughts and tell you about our experience with it. I'm going to start with Kyle St. James. Kyle St. James wrote in on Twitter and said, I'm not exactly a reviewer, so this will be mostly biased, but NieR Automata is a very fun game with amazing controls. One of my favorite parts was just how fluid it felt to play, and a ridiculous story that keeps on going, even with multiple playthroughs. It is actually necessary to play through multiple times as well, since everything changes. The game looks at you and says, all right, you beat the first campaign? Okay, player, okay. Now you're going to play as someone else now, but like during their events. There's definitely a good amount to explore, along with obtaining all the endings. Example being, which I suppose is a spoiler. Doesn't matter, we're doing spoilers anyway. This is our wrap-up chat. When I took out the life support block and accidentally killed my character. 3 times for science, of course. Or when I obtained the fishing ending because I wanted to go back to get something. The game changes between third-person and top-down to side-scroller, which was also very neat for me. So I'd suggest playing it. 8.5 rating, St. James seal of approval. Thank you, Kyle, for writing in. I do think that it's worth mentioning our requirement for BARF this month was just to beat ending A, just get through the game once. There is a requirement, they say it at the end of the credits too, like, hey, player, thanks, play it again, that you're supposed to play it multiple playthroughs. I don't believe either of us did that, correct?
No. I did route A.
Yeah, I got through A. I also got ending T, which is the one from killing yourself, I think. And then I somehow got ending G. I started playthrough B, and I guess I took a path that I wasn't supposed to go, and then it's just like the game ended and it said, all right, and then 9S ran off and decided he was going to go hunt by himself when no one ever saw him again. End of game. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Before we get into Alex's, do you generally agree with Kyle, or are you indifferent, or do you disagree?
The only thing that I would say I mildly disagree on, and this is mild, is I agree that the top-down, side-scrolling, and just general 3D exploration visual perspectives were cool. There were some moments where the transitions between those, like the middle of a boss battle, for example, kind of threw me off a little bit. Like in the amusement park boss, which was an awesome location, by the way. They would start going to that top-down perspective, and for some reason it was like too zoomed in, and I couldn't see those like 3 ring attacks that come at you, which would prompt you into the hacking minigame.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just get hit by it randomly, and I'm like, I feel like if I could change my perspective here, that wouldn't happen. And I didn't necessarily understand why it was forcing me into those perspectives, as opposed, I guess, just to vary up the gameplay a little bit. But there were some small points in the game where it bothered me a little bit. But overall, it was kind of a cool choice when you're, for example, going to Pascal's village and you're just seeing the amusement park kind of fade out into the background as you're moving away from it, and you could just move really fast, and it kind of flowed nice. But there were some points where it kind of bugged me. That's my only thing I would say on that.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you on that point. I did think that it was really cool how fluidly as Kyle pointed out, how fluidly it did transition between those. Especially like as you're like running up a cylindrical structure, and you might run up, and then suddenly it switches to side scrolling, and then suddenly it's top down, and then, or in the areas where you're flying in the mech suits, and it's changing between all the different perspectives too. I thought that was kind of like really cool how that all worked. Yeah, let's move on to Alex's real quick. So Alex also wrote in, Alex Kozina, Cozy Bear on Twitter. He sent us an email at respawnnamefire@gmail.com and says, hey crew, Alexander Kozina here. Oh, Alexander. We're very formal. I'm going to read it in a British accent then. No, I'm not. While I was not able to get... I thought about it. While I was not able to get to the end of playthrough D in NieR Automata for this month's BARF, I was able to get halfway through playthrough B, and man, I enjoyed myself a fair bit. To me, NieR Automata feels like it was made in an alternative world where Japanese developers like Capcom and Square Enix didn't become obsessed with making American-style action games at the end of the PlayStation 2 era, and instead kept making the same eccentric, distinctly Japanese-style action games they were known for prior to that point, like PNO3, Chaos Legion, and Dirge of Cerberus, etc. I have no idea what PNO3 or Chaos Legion are.
I haven't heard of those either. I know Dirge of Cerberus, though.
Yeah, me too. Of course. Final Fantasy VII, Dirge of Cerberus. Come on, Vincent.
Yeah.
Except unlike those games, Automata's story is actually fairly coherent and possesses most of the quality of life features one would expect from a game released today. Basically, in a nutshell, I really like Automata because it felt like a throwback to an older breed of video game that is rarely made anymore, but made with all the modern amenities and polish you would want it to have now. And incredible music. Shout out to the music. This is me talking now, not Alex. Shout out to the music. Especially the amusement park. I think the amusement park everyone can agree, is the best part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. The amusement park was super dope. And it had really, really great music too. And then back to Alex. It was also refreshing to play a, quote, open world game in 2019 whose world is around the same size as Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess. After wandering through a dozen giant open worlds in the past few years that felt needlessly stretched out, I appreciated how compact and to the point Automata's was. I've only got 2 small complaints. First, I found some of Automata's texture work to be kind of poor, but because I was reminded the whole time of those old Japanese-style PlayStation 2 games, which featured very similar texture work, I felt it was easy to compartmentalize. the poor textures in my head as being almost an artistic decision, as if Platinum Games / Yoko Taro intentionally designed Automata to look not great in spots because they wanted it to call back to the older era of games. That's not an excuse. I want this to look like shit, so I'm not going to try as hard because games look like shit back then.
You can only get away with that if you're going to make an 8-bit or 16-bit game. Other than that,
yeah, and even now, those are like fucking gorgeous today, even compared to some of the old ones of yore.
Mm-hmm.
Total side note.
The one area where I could say, two areas I could say that are going for that kind of like old style though, like texture work, is the copied city, which is just flat texture work everywhere.
Oh yeah,
there's basically no textures at all.
I totally
and
forgot
the same
about that.
and then the bunker. The bunker in certain areas had very simplistic texture work. But I wasn't sure that's because they're going more for like a futuristic spaceship.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, it was like space, so everything was like really clean and flat and.
Yeah.
Continuing on and finishing up, where the goddamn did I leave off? Got it. And secondly, mild...
I can't even say the word now.
Right, but he put in compartmentalism, which I think was the wrong tense of the word that he meant to say. Not tense, but part of speech. And secondly, mild spoilers ahead.
As did before, though, the point got across. We know what he meant.
Yes.
We've had this discussion.
Kind of surprised by... Listen, woman. I was kind of surprised by how upbeat the game's first ending was. I haven't spoiled myself as to what happened in the game's other endings yet, but I knew going into the game that they existed, and thus figured that Automata's first playthrough would end on a more dour note, so that someone like me would have to be motivated to keep playing and achieve a better resolution. Even with that complaint, however, I'm still enjoying this game tremendously, and plan on playing it to absolute completion in the coming weeks. More power to you, Alex, if you're going to play it to absolute completion. I wonder if that means you're going to platinum it and also get every single ending in the game, because I feel like that would be a chore.
Yes.
I want to use that as a kind of a launching point to kind of let you guys know my take and my feelings on the game. Yes, it did feel like a throwback. It did feel like, although it was Platinum Games and Square Enix, it didn't quite feel like they're either of those two games companies' normal kind of thing. Platinum Games, you think, all right, Bayonetta, you think Devil May Cry, something like along those lines. Square Enix, you usually think more traditional JRPGs and that kind of stuff. So it kind of didn't feel like either of those companies' normal things, and I feel like the whole time I was playing it wrong somehow. I felt like Holden DePardo playing Borderlands 2, where the whole time I'm yelling at you, Holden, did you use your action skill? Holden, you have 4 skill points? Fucking use them. And rather than actually playing the game as intended to be played, you're just shooting things. So I felt like that the whole time for a few reasons. Because I know there are a lot of systems in this game that I wasn't using, and then there were a lot of things that I couldn't do. Like, for instance, the whole like power up and upgrade structure where you have like so many slots and you can plug things in, but some of them are bigger than others and some of them are smaller than others. Some things like make your attack better, or you could take away the ability to see enemies' health in favor of putting in something to give you more defense. That whole structure thing I messed around with once, but then never felt compelled to go back and do anything more with it just because I felt like I was getting along without it. I played on normal difficulty all the way up until the last part of the last boss battle where I switched it down to easy. Well, I'll get into it in a second.
I did the same thing, but I did it a little bit before you. Actually did it a whole boss before you. I'll get to that.
So I didn't really use that system there. There were so many times, like weapons and upgrades and things like that could have been really, really cool, but I felt like I never, ever found or had enough material or money to actually get any of them. So I'm like, yep, I'm missing out on something here that I'm not doing. There are a ton of side quests that I just either felt like I didn't give a shit about. I wasn't compelled to do the side quests at all, and the main mission was enough to kind of satisfy me. But I felt the whole time, I just felt like I was doing it wrong somehow. And that I was somehow skirting by, even though I wasn't supposed to be able to, based on being able to just hold the R1 button the whole time and just shoot shit from afar. So, yeah, I appreciated it for what it was. I had an okay time with it, but I felt like I missed it Everyone else is giving all this praise. Alex really liked it. St. James seal of approval. All of the critical reception, nominated for best RPG. And I was just like, I missed something here. I didn't hate it, but I missed whatever everyone loved about it.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with just about everything you said there. Actually, everything you just said there. I do want to add some positive things I did like about the game. Then I'll jump into some of the stuff where I agree with you and kind of elaborate on my experience with it and kind of sharing some of that with you too. Okay, so the art style, I love the art style. I love the way the enemies look. The music's fantastic. So many of the environments are just fucking dope looking. I loved the amusement park. I loved going to, even though it's not the most complicated area, the flooded city, I love the aesthetic of it. When you get out to see all the water and the building far in the background, there's just this very cool vibe to it.
I wish flooded city was bigger.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. It was the most elaborate.
5 buildings to jump on, and that was it.
But like afterwards, at the end, once you beat the big robot thing, and you look back, and he's part of that kind of 2-building skyline now. I'm like, I don't know, just the aesthetic of that location was very, very cool. Even though there wasn't a lot to that area, the forest zone, I loved the forest zone. I remember seeing the castle from the distance, and going, "Ooh, that's very Dark Souls." Like I like that a lot. Like in not terms of like it, just how you see this castle in the distance and know you're going to be there pretty soon.
Yeah,
that kind of Dark Souls kind of feel like that. So I loved all the artistic elements of this game. I thought the combat, like everyone else said, is very fluid. It's very fun to play. But then we get to what you said, which is that I felt like I was missing something. So you have the upgrades. I had one sword. I got to level 2, and then the other sword I had is still level 1. And at the end of the game, I kind of think maybe you're supposed to do that stuff in future playthroughs, but there should be more upgrade opportunities in your first playthrough for the game.
There should, and also in future playthroughs, you're not playing as the same characters. So it's not like you can continue to upgrade your weapon.
Yeah,
at least I don't think so. I didn't get through any of them, but... Yeah,
so
I upgraded my first one, I think, 2 times. I ended up being able to upgrade it and then, like you, the other one was just level 1 the whole time.
Mm-hmm. So I think maybe that's where side quests come in, and I just wasn't doing the side quests. And I feel like at the beginning of the game, they do that standard thing of... Right, I had 2 thoughts at the beginning of the game. One is, they're really letting you just figure out these systems on your own. There wasn't really like a hand-holding tutorials, which I like, but they nudged you and told you things like how to shoot the gun and how to move, which I'm like, I didn't really need to know how to do that. I would have much rather you spent that time saying, just here's a little tidbit about the system. Or like, here's a resource you can go to say like, hey, here's how the system works. Like, it took me a while to realize that when you use those slots you're talking about to like improve your health or to make it so that your attack is better for ranged weapons or melee weapons, when you die, that goes away. And I didn't realize that it goes away. And that's why I keep getting the same, like, I got max health again. I got, ranged attack +2 again. Like, I'd be like, why am I getting this over and over again? Because when you die, they go away. And if you go back and so when you go back and you find your body, you can retrieve it again.
That's what there are so many times I'm like, fuck, I gotta find my body, and then I get to my body and it's like, all right, you picked everything back up, and it's like, but everything is exactly the same. What did I lose?
So that's but the thing is, we didn't really use that system, so we weren't really losing anything.
Yeah.
And the difficulty of the game makes it so that you don't feel like you have to use any of that.
Exactly.
There's no reason to, until suddenly the last 2 fucking bosses are ridiculously hard in comparison to the other ones. So how many times did you use like your health recovery items, like
my
small,
God,
medium, large, all the time?
Constantly. I felt like there should have been a button mapped to that, because having it was literally especially in boss battles, it was literally every 15 seconds pause the game, go to recovery items, use a couple small ones or use a medium one, go fight. Every 15 seconds, come back. It was obnoxious.
Oh, so you never used the down on the D-pad to access that?
I didn't even know that's a thing.
Okay, so we had a different experience here. We had a different experience here. So you can hit the down on the D-pad to get like a little quick action menu to access that stuff. But it's fucking infuriating to do in the middle of a boss battle when you're holding the R1 and L2 button, and then you gotta like hit the down on the D-pad, go down to the one you want to use while dodging these huge balls that are coming after you, and then it hits you and you died. And it's like, fuck, like, all right, let's do the boss battle again. I got his health down to like pretty much towards the end, and I gotta do that all over again. The reason it infuriate me is that I liked the boss battles. I thought they were very entertaining and fun throughout. But those moments kind of kept happening where I'd get close to the end and then die. But then, when you get to the last few boss encounters, there is no way to buy more health recovery items.
That's what sucks.
Yes,
You use your health recovery items, you die, and then they don't come back. You don't reset to an older save. You're just like, cool, you dead, you come back to life, and now you have no health items to recover with.
Yep, so I did the area where the resistance camp was getting attacked, and I'm like, okay, after I free up the camp, then I'll buy some recovery items because I'm dangerously low right now on those recovery items. There was no opportunity to. There's no point where the game said, like, this is a common thing you'll see in, like, a Zelda kind of style game, like, you're about to go into the final castle thing, like, you won't be able to turn back. Actually, no, I said Zelda. I don't think Zelda does that. But you know what I'm talking about. Game will kind of say, like, hey, once you go this way, you can't come back, so, like, get what you need now. That would have been really nice.
No return. Phantom of the Opera.
That would have been really, really nice to know, because when I got to the second time you fight the sphere guy thing, the big robot, and he can electrocute the water and everything, that part with no recovery items is the reason I switched to easy mode.
Yep. That's where I used a bunch of the reason I switched to easy mode in the final boss was because of recovery items, and it's because I used a bunch of them on that little orb guy.
Mm-hmm. And easy mode, the difference between easy mode and normal mode is hysterical. I don't think I got hit once when I was in easy mode because it auto dodges for you. It's basically the only thing you do is hold down the fire button and move your character. You probably could just stand still though, because your character would still dodge everything that comes after it. Like it was shockingly easy. And thank God it was, because I needed to power through and finish the game because I kind of cut it close on this. But I really liked it. I think at the end it got a little too hard, and they didn't give you you have to rely on the recovery items, or maybe again we're playing it wrong.
Yeah, I was pausing the game every time I needed to heal because I had to go into the menu, but I didn't even know there was a down item thing.
Honestly, I think that might be why, because you beat it in 8.5 hours. I beat it in 12. I think it's because I replayed so many bosses because I would die every time I hit down arrow and then try to get to the recovery item I wanted to use. I died so many times that way.
I could definitely see if I were fighting a few of these bosses, like if I were trying to heal in real time and navigating a menu in real time, I definitely would have died a lot more.
Yeah. I didn't even I'm an idiot. Didn't even think to just pause the game.
Oh, you played it the right way.
No, I think you did it the right way. I know, I think you did it the right way. I think you did it the right way, because how many times did you die because you were trying to recover your health? Probably never.
Very, very rarely.
Yeah. But I feel like there's a lot of like nitpicks that have big impact on the end game experience. I think overall it's a really good game. I just think that there's just these small things that could have been tweaked that we mentioned that would have vastly improved the experience.
I have one other thing you'd mentioned that I kind of want to dive deeper, just bring up that I had a lot of problems with too, is the controls for this game.
Yeah.
Having to have both fingers on the right triggers at all times was obnoxious. I felt like I was always doing some kind of claw because you need one to shoot. And if you're not shooting 24/7, you're playing the game wrong. Or if that's wrong, then the game was designed poorly because I felt like I had to be shooting nonstop.
Yeah.
But then the trigger right behind it being dodge, also kind of fanning that trigger all the time whenever you're fighting things up, like that was, whoever designed that should be taken into a room and smacked.
Well, thank God, I agree with you completely. Thank God that you customized the controls. Because
did they? I went in there and I looked very shortly for something, and I was like, I don't know. I didn't see something readily available. Sorry, I just hiccuped a little bit. Something readily available that let me change it, but apparently there was.
Yeah, so what I did is I switched R2, which is the dodge, to L1. So I really should just be on R1, L1.
And that's normally the super shot for your gun, right?
Yep, which is now just the R trigger, which I use a lot less frequently than I do the dodge.
Yeah.
So that made way more sense than...
Oh, that would have been so much better.
It made a lot more sense. I honestly, to the point where I've I don't know why they even had it in the original configuration. I just don't think the original configuration of those two triggers, as you pointed out, makes any sense.
No, having two fingers up there constantly is terrible.
Yeah. Is the controller even designed to be held that way?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So why would you make your game play that way? I don't know.
I didn't get it. There were also the combat. A lot of the time, because I was shooting nonstop, I also felt like I couldn't really see what was going on a ton of the time because there were all the bullets flying. As you mentioned, there's always constantly red orbs being fired at you from something. And then you're also having to... So I felt like I was just getting close to things and just like dodge while I'm swinging my swords everywhere too at the same time. And so, I don't know. I felt like either I was doing that wrong. I hate the feeling that I felt like I was playing the game wrong the whole time and it didn't tell me how to play it right to begin with. I don't know. I do find... I'm so conflicted. Because I've never seen a game get so much more praise and I felt so left out. And I'm completely... I didn't hate the game at all. I was just completely indifferent on it. But I don't understand why everybody loves it. Apparently the story is part of it. So I think what I'm going to do is just put it on easy mode and power through all the rest of the story. Like, at least through ending. I think E is what you're supposed to go through for the full story. I don't know. I'm so conflicted. Because I definitely won't play it again on normal and having to do with all the combat and stuff like that.
But then easy mode, honestly, was kind of boring.
It was.
The gameplay...
But if I continue to play it, I'm just going to be doing it for the story.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like... at least in Route A for me, the story was fine. It had this kind of cool premise. And I kind of thought the whole time, I'm like, this is still a cool premise. And it didn't really evolve. Like, at the end when 9S is like moving between the different bodies and stuff, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't care. I'm actually glad he's gone because it makes the gameplay easier when there's just one person on screen.
God, when he says, hey, 2B, when do you think you'll be comfortable enough to call me Nines like all my friends? I was like, oh my God, shut up. Why don't you just die already? I can't wait for the Breaking Bad movie. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. When he dies or when he's starting to look like he's going to die at the end, you're just like, okay, cool.
I guess the other playthroughs would be more entertaining.
Apparently, though, that's the way you're supposed to feel at the end of this first playthrough. Is you're just like, okay, that was a kind of a cool story or whatever, but then you play the rest of them and it blows your fucking mind. So, I think I'll do it.
What an odd choice.
I know,
that's
right?
why they have that, like, plea at the end of the credits to please play the multiple different runs of the game.
Right.
Please do that, because we put a lot of work into it, and we know Route A isn't as exciting as the other routes.
Yep. And Route B, you play as 9S. There were enough times that you guys were separate that I was like, oh, I bet something interesting and cool is happening wherever he's going.
Yeah.
Or especially like for the last chunk of the game where he's absent for a lot of it and then suddenly comes back as another robot, and you're like, oh my God, what were you doing and why were you? And did they take you? But all that kind of, like, I'm curious enough to play it to find that out.
There's definitely a lot of questions, like who is A2 really? What happened to the aliens? What point did the machines take over? Like, all that stuff's really cool. I'll just hear it from you when you beat it and tell me about it.
I don't know if I'll be able to tell you. I did download on YouTube. I downloaded so I can watch it whenever I want. A 5-hour video of just all the cutscenes of the game. So if I decide, I'm just going to go back and watch it all instead. Last couple things I want to say is I feel like the beginning of the first level of the game on the first boss fight, which was also the demo of the game I played a couple years ago, unrealistically sets up the game for you and makes you think it's going to be a lot more varied in kind of style and enemies than you're actually going to run into. Because the enemies were so boring and lackluster to me. They were just these tiny little brown robots in like 4 different flavors. Some of them flew, some of them were larger than others, and it's just those the entire game. And then the bosses, there are really only like 3 bosses. One of them was the really interesting one from the theme park, and then you have the human people, and then you have the giant thing with the chainsaw arms that you fight like 4 times. after playing the first level, I was like, oh my god, this game's gonna be awesome. We're gonna be switching to mechs. We're gonna fight other huge giant monsters all the time. And it was like, no, you're just gonna fight like 3 things, and it'll be the same fight over and over for this giant thing that you really enjoyed fighting. I don't know. I guess thinking back on it, I wasn't too blown away by this game.
I hadn't thought about what you just said, though, which is that the first level sets up unrealistic expectations. Because I kept thinking the first level is the best level. I do remember going, like, when we're fighting that first boss, like, fuck, like, that first boss was incredible. This is going to be so much fun. But I never was disappointed with the rest of the game, necessarily. I know we complained. Yeah. At least for me, I feel like I've complained a lot. We're talking about this. But I was never really disappointed with it. Yeah, I think that's a good point. It does kind of it's a poor setup. But it's a great setup, but it's like too good. It's like the pilot episode of a TV show being undeniably the best episode, and everything else. Like,
or you go see a trailer for a movie, and you're like, "Oh my god, that sounds amazing!" And then the rest of the movie is just like, "Hey, yep, you saw all these jokes, and the rest of the movie's meh." Great. I think that's all I've got to say about NieR Automata.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next month's BARF backlog accomplishment with the Respawn and Friends for October is Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear. Otacon. I'm going to smoke a cigarette. Play along with us.
That's the full title of the game.
That's the full. Yes. This is Holden's first time playing it. It is. I played it twice, but I always go back and like, oh my god, I totally forgot this was part of the game, and I'm hoping that it gets me in a mood where I play through all of them again, because I've been wanting to go back to 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and Peace Walker and Ground Zeroes and all of them. Anyway, if you want to play along with us, send us your thoughts. Great. If you want to vote on what we're playing for November and December, go to patreon.com/respawnaimfire. Give us $1 or more, and you can vote towards the middle of October. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, what's up? What you doing? You up?